Hello, everyone, and welcome you all to another chapter of logo design using Photoshop and Illustrator. So now we are on our chapter number 5, where I'll be showing you guys by using pen tool in your logo design. So still we are into our Photoshop. Okay, so we'll be learning how to use your pen tool in Photoshop itself. So let's not waste time and let's get started. So over here on my screen, as you guys can see, now I'm here in the home page of the Photoshop. So let's click on file, and from here, let's click on new, and let's create up a new file where we will be working. Let's name this one as a pen tool. Let's delete this one and let's type pen tool logo, and everything else is good to go, and I'll just click on create, which will create me this particular new document. First thing first, let's come here and let me just put out my rulers the same way. Let's place it over here. Let's place this over here as well, and lastly I will place down as well. Okay, so let me just place it down right over here as well. So now, let's say you know how to draw. Okay, so let's say if you know how to draw, you draw it in your paper and take a picture of that and make sure to upload it in to your panel over here and make it a layer. And after that, you guys can go to your layers panel, and from your layers panel, what you guys can do, you guys can just come here and just decrease the opacity, and what it will do is you guys lock that one and it will turn into a template on top of which you guys can use your pen tool and work with that. Okay, so let me just show you guys a small example with that. Okay, so let's come here, and from here let me just create up a new layer. So now I do have my layer number 1, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here into my toolbar, and from my toolbar, let's take my brush tool, and the shortcut key for that is B. So I'll take my brush tool over here and I'll just make sure what size do I want to choose. Okay, so I will just take a size 3, and I will just take what kind of brush do I want to use. So let's say hard round brush over here. And now let's try to create some shapes. Okay, so let's come here, and over here I will just try to create some boomerang kind of shape. Okay, so it doesn't need to be exactly perfect, but somewhat perfect is also fine. Okay, so let me just come here and let me just put let me just put up a sharp edge over here as well. So somewhat I do have a boomerang kind of a shape. Okay. So now once you're done, let's come here, and from here now let's add up a new layer. So I do have this layer number 2 on top of my layer number 1, and in layer number 1 what I'm going to do is I'm going to change its opacity to 50%. Okay, so I'll just change its opacity to 50% right over here. And now I will go to my layer number 2, and I'm going to work with my pen tool right over here. So let's take my pen tool from here, and now let's try to create up this shape. Okay, so now let's keep one right over here. Otherwise, let's try to create one layer right over here, and the next over here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come here. Otherwise, Control Z to go back, and let's go back over here again. Let's come back, and from here let's go back again. It's just snapping, and let's take another shape. And from here, if you want to create another shape, you guys can also do that right over here itself. Okay, so let me just take out another shape. Otherwise, let's just spun back from here, and from this option, let's try to create one. And again, right over here, if you want to make our shape, you guys can come here and you guys can basically create our shape right like this. Okay, so let's create this shape over here. And lastly, let's come here and let's create out this shape as well. Okay, so over here you guys can see that I do have created up this shape. And if you don't want to make any changes, let's come here and let's change the convert point tool. Okay, if you do want to convert this particular point in some different shapes, you guys can come here and you guys can basically do that. Okay, so over here you guys can see this one. And once I'm done, now the next thing is let's get my pen tool itself, and from here I will just right click, and from here now I will just go with fill path. I need to make sure this is foreground color, and I will just click on OK. But here you guys can see that I'm having some problem right over here. Okay, because I don't want my background to be colored, but instead I want my shape to be colored in black. Okay, but now let's come here and let's see what is the problem. Control Z to go back, and now let's right click over here. Now I will just take up a look on the top, and here you guys can see from here I will select combine shapes instead of subtract front shape. So I'll just click on combine shapes right now, and again I'll just follow the same path. Let's go to fill path over here. Now I'll just click on OK, and here you guys can see that I do have this particular shape right here. Okay, so once I do have this particular thing, let's select this particular layer and let's delete the layer number one. Okay, so over here I do have my layer number one, and I do have deleted that particular layer over here. Let's right click, otherwise let's go to this layer 2. Let's right click, and if you do want to delete this path, you guys can come here and you guys can just delete the path from here as well. And now once you have created this one, this is now a shape. You guys can see, you guys can basically move this thing around. Let's select this one, let's click on all, and here you guys can see that I do have duplicate this one as well. Okay, you have duplicate this one fine. Now you guys can just right click and you guys can basically work with that. If you want to actually rasterize this layer, you guys can also do that right over here itself. Okay, so you guys will be able to do that. Control T, and after clicking Control T, if you do want to flip it horizontally, you guys can come here and you guys can basically flip it horizontally right over here as well. Okay, so now let's click on enter, control minus, and here you guys can see how this things basically looks. Okay, so here you guys can just place this one right over here, and at the same time control T if you do want to give this one up a rotation. Okay, so let me just go with a rotation of 30-degree. Okay, over here let's click on enter, and let's click on enter for the transformation as well. And also now I'll just take and I'll just click on Control T, and now over here let me just give this one up a rotation of 30 as well. Okay, so I will just come here, or maybe it's gonna look something like that. Okay, so I'm just going to transform this one, the same one, Control T, and maybe I will just give this one up a rotation right over here as well. Okay, so now once this is done, here let's take both of this layer and here just move this one a bit down. Okay, So now this part is actually done. You guys are done working with both of this layer. And as you're going to use both of these layers at the same time, just select both of this and make sure to right click. And from here, you guys can actually merge layers. Okay, so I'll just merge both of these layers and I will just double click and name this one as middle. Okay, as this is going to be the middle part. So as this is done here, the first part is done. And now let's align it. Okay, if you do want to align it, you guys can come here, select this layer. Let's align it right over here in the center and right over here in the center as well. Otherwise, you guys can just click on Control A. And from here, now let's move it on the center and let's move this one on the center as well. Okay, so now again Control D to deselect. So basically the next step over here is I want to take or draw up a line over here on the side. Okay, so for that let's create up a new layer and I will just go to this layer. And if you do want to name it, otherwise let me just name it later as well. Okay, because I will be merging layers over here. So let's take this layer number one, and from here now in the toolbar, I will select my elliptical marquee tool. Okay, so I'll just select my elliptical marquee tool right over here, and let's click on Shift, and over here let's take or let's create up a marquee tool. Okay, or a elliptical tool right over here, and once you're done, you guys will click on Control A, or let's go back. And what you're gonna do is if you do want to place it right over here in the center, you guys can come here and you guys can now place it exactly over here in the center as well. Okay, so now you need to make sure you just right click and let's go to stroke from here. And under stroke here, you guys can select how much you do want the width. Let's go with 25. Here you will select where do you want it. Let's go with outside. And I'll just click on enter. And here you guys can see how it actually looks. Okay. So once you're done over here, now let's click on Control D to deselect. And here you guys can see that you do have this particular shape. Okay, so now you do have this shape. If you do want to decrease it, let's come over here and again let's go back. Let's just right click over here. From here let's go with stroke, and instead of 25, what if I take 15 from here, and let's click on enter. And here, this is how the 15 one looks. Okay, again, Control D to deselect. And the next thing is you guys just duplicate this particular layer. Okay, so Control D, and if you do want to duplicate here, you guys can just click on Alt. Okay, so you guys can just click on Alt using the selection tool. Otherwise, you guys can just click on Control F right over here, like Control C, Control F. Okay, Control C and Control F right over here, which will also help you to create one. It totally depends up to you. Let's come over here. Otherwise, also you can go to this layer, right click, and you guys can click on duplicate layer. Just name anything, click on OK, and this particular layer has been duplicated as well. Okay, and if you do want to increase the size, Control D to transform, and if you just click on Shift and Alt at the same time, it will just increase size from the sides. Okay, so you guys can come here and you guys can increase the size from the side. Otherwise, it will just put this one over here in the center. Okay, so you guys can come here, you guys can just work. And once you're done, let's click on enter over here. And now let's select both of this layer. And now let's click right and let's merge both of these layers. Okay. So I will just name this one as the outer, and let's click on enter over here again. Okay. So now the next part over here will basically be going on right over here at this particular point. And from here, now let's take my magic wand tool from my toolbar. Okay. Here you guys can see that here in the object selection tool, here you do have your magic wand tool. And if you just click over here into your magic wand tool, you guys will be able to select this one. And once you have selected, let's come here, let's take the brush tool, and from my brush tool, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come here and I'm going to increase the size of my brush. Okay, so let me just go with 50 over here, and once you're done, make sure to give this one up the color, and after that, make sure to color that all well. Okay, so make sure to color those properly right over here. Control D to deselect. Okay, so if you do want to go back, you guys can come here, you guys can just go back, and now Control D to deselect. And if you do want to put out some colors, you guys can also do that right over here. And over here you guys can select what is going to be the color. Okay, and also here maybe you need to make sure that the hardness is 100%. Okay, so if you're going to choose this one, this hard brush tool, you need to make sure that the color is also uh, total black. Okay, so you do want to match out the color. So for that, I will just come here and I'll just increase the opacity by 100%. And now let's take my magic wand tool again. Let's select over here and let's take my brush tool. And here you guys can see I do have my brush tool right over here. If you do want to decrease the size, let's say by 40, and here let's click on enter. And now you guys can just apply this one over here as well. Okay, so let's come here, let's apply this one accordingly, and this one kind of looks good. Okay, so now Control D to deselect. Okay, so if you do want to uh put in any part, let's come here, let's go with 20. And once you have selected this one, let's come here and let's just put out to the places where you were not able to give. Okay, so over here you guys can see there are certain lines which you need to follow right over here. Okay, which is the magic wand tool was unable to detect. Okay, let's come here, let's just give out a straight line. Just do it carefully, you guys can just take out your own time. Okay, just decrease size, and the same way let's come here and I'll just take my time over here as well. Okay, as you're designing a logo, it should be perfect when you're trying to make it, and many times you might face a lot of problems while using that, but make sure to go and smoothen it up as much as you can. Okay, there are different scenarios where you are not able to do, but try to make sure that you do the best on your logo, because this is the company's first thing which anyone will look at. Okay, so now let's go back, and here you guys can see this particular thing is a lot smoothened up. So now over here, the next thing is, let's come here, let's create a new layer. Okay, and once I have created this particular layer, let's come down. Okay, so I will just come down, let me just select up a color. Okay, let me just go with a green color. Let's click on OK, and from here now let's try to right click. Okay, So if you try to right click right over here, otherwise, and after creating this layer number one, let's go to the middle layer. And from here, let's click on control from my screen. And from here, let me just click over on top of this particular template. And here you guys can see this thing is basically selected. Now let's go to layer one. From here, I do have already choose the green color. Okay. And once you have chosen the green color, what you guys can do is you guys can come here. You guys can just right click. Let's go to stroke, and from here you guys can select the stroke. Okay, let me just go with 20, or let's go with 30 over here. And now I do want to place it outside, and here you guys can see this is how it actually looks. Otherwise, if you do want to go back again, let's come here and let's right click. Let's go with stroke, and let's go with 25. Okay, so I'll just go with 25 outside, and I'll just click on OK right over here. So once this is done, here you guys can see that I do have a kind of stroke right over here. So from here, let's go to my select option. And from here, I will just click on deselect. Let's come over here on top, this button. And again, I will just click on control, and here you guys can see how it actually looks. Okay, so now I will just again select this layer number one, and from here let me just basically hide it. Okay, so I will just hide this particular layer like right over here. Let me come to the outer layer, and once you're over here into the outer layer, the next thing is take the eraser tool right from here itself. Okay, and from the eraser tool, what you guys can do is you guys can just select the size. Let me just go with 23. Okay, and over here you guys can just erase this up. Okay, so from here, let's control plus, and you guys can use this eraser tool quite well. Okay, so here you guys can see uh quite easily you guys are able to use this eraser tool without harming this other part. Okay, so let's come here, and the same way let's come right over here itself. Okay, so let's take out this part, and let's take out this particular part from here as well. Okay, so as this is done, now you guys can just click on Control D to deselect, and here you guys can see that I do have a stunning logo just in front of me. Okay, so now as I do have this particular layer, what I can do is I will just select this stroke layer, and from here I will just delete this stroke layer right from here. And lastly, let's come here, and from here let's try to hide this middle layer. Okay, so I will just hide this middle layer, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come here into my outer layer, take my eraser tool, and I will just erase this particular part, this leftover part from here. Okay, so I will just erase this particular part from here as well. Okay, and this is done. Now let me just put out this line, and here you guys can see how this actually looks. And if you want to give out some more effects, okay, in that case, if you do want to cut out any part and stuff, you guys can also come here and do that quite easily. But here you guys can see that I have a particular great line over here. And if you do want to place anything, let's say if you do want to come here, let's come here, and if you do want to move this one up, you guys can come here, and you guys can basically move this one up right over here as well. Okay, let me just come right over here, Control Z again. Otherwise, let's come here, let's click on delete. And here you guys can see Control D to delete again. And the same way, let's come here and click on delete. Control D again. Let's select this one, delete to delete this part again, and Control D to deselect right over here again this particular part. Okay, so as this is done over here as well, you guys can just delete up a certain part if you want. Okay, so from here, if you do want to delete this particular part, you guys can actually take out any kind of marquee tools over here as well. Okay, so let's come here, and from here, if you do want to delete this part, okay, you guys can come here and you guys can just delete this whole part from here. Let's click on delete, and this is how it will look. Control D to deselect. Okay, so here you do have your logo. Lastly, if you do want to group all of this, let's click both of this, and now let's merge this layer using right click, and let's click on merge layers, and both of these layers are being merged. Okay, and lastly, let's come here, let's go to the blending options, and from the blending options, you guys can actually give out a drop shadow. Okay, you guys can come here and you guys can just give out a drop shadow of 12. And if you do want to increase the spread, you guys can come here and increase the spread. And I will just decrease the size maybe to 3. And if you do want to work on with the noise, you guys can come here and click on OK right over here. And this particular logo looks quite nice. Okay. And the same thing, if you do want to see it in other background, you guys can also do that right over here. Okay. So now from here, let's try to arrange this one in the center. And for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Control A. And once you have clicked on Control A, let's come here. Let's align it over here in the center. Let's align it over here as well. And Control D to deselect. And if you do want to click on Control T to transform, let's click on shift, and over here you guys can basically transform it into a particular size. Okay, so let's right click over here, and now again Control A, and now let's align over here exactly into the center of my page. Okay, so now Control D again to deselect, and as this is done, now let's go to file and let's go to export. Let's click on quick export as PNG. Let's go to my desktop. From here, let's go to my resource file, and I'll save this one as a pen tool logo. So let's save it up. And that file is basically being saved as a PNG. So yeah, I hope you all have understood how you can use the brush tool to create some shapes, then how you will be able to use the pen tool and also expand, select, and also apply different kind of effects over here from your logo. So see you all in any other chapter where we'll be learning about Illustrator and making logos in Illustrator. So take care everyone. See you all in the next chapter.